Hello again and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a 1v1 from the most recent tournament of Ptaq versus Mightysheep. And as we see, both players starting in the middle here. The reason for that is the metal point here is a 5 mex metal point. So that is a very high amount of metal. And Ptaq also blocking in this metal point here with winds. Purely to just help defend that metal point. As you can see, Mightysheep here doing the same. It's going to make it a lot harder to be raided and lose that high value metal point. We've seen this map before in the Orb versus Magic's game. And what we ended up seeing is both players tend to focus on pushing the middle via these two lines. And then you'll see occasional raids along the side flanks here, but most of the combat tends to be focused around the middle. The metal points on this map are all 2.3s except for the starting position one, which is the 5. There are a couple of geothermals spotted around the map, but in my experience most players don't tend to go for them. We'll see if that changes anything. And as we see here, both players are playing Cortex today. And we see both players just starting to get their initial units out. Now, not much happens in this first stint here. Ptaq going quite greedy with 3 engineers before moving into any sorts of combat units, whereas Mightysheep has already got a couple of grunts out. Now, another difference we'll notice here is that Ptaq has gone a little bit more greedy on the energy production, and also has just started building the radar on this hill. Now, remember from the video that I posted recently, radar's a line of sight, so if we click this radar, you can see here the green line area, that's where you can actually see. So this map does cause quite a lot of blind spots for radar, which can mean that, you know, individual units or small groups of units can sneak by if a player is not paying attention. And yeah, so interesting to see. And unfortunately we have spectator chat on today, so we will see some people commenting. And we see Ptaq expanding to the mexes with his commander. Mightysheep staying in base. Looks like he might be about to move out. And we see Mightysheep getting the double mechs up with an LLT to defend, which is the exact same as Ptaq has done, which should be able to defend these double mechs points quite easily. The base should have combat units coming out of it enough to defend the base without having any issues. This one grunt coming around here from Mightysheep probably won't get anything done. Nope, nothing done. Both players here on a relatively equal standing. We see Mightysheep going in for a raid on Ptaq here on the left side of his base, but Ptaq definitely has the unit advantage there to hold that off, so no problems. Yep, Ptaq cleans up quite easily here. And we come off the screen resources mode because we don't need that anymore. And Ptaq having a bit of an energy issue at the moment. Both players are, with wind going down to 4.8 right now. Both players struggling. Ptaq building a solar to kind of counter that wind issue right now. Ptaq unable to see this push on the right side from Mightysheep, whereas Mightysheep has indeed seen the push from Ptaq. And the left side gets cleared up there. We'll see if Ptaq is able to make anything from this push here. I don't think he'll be able to get much out of it. Meanwhile, there's a big group of units down on Ptaq's bottom right corner. Ptaq falling back those forces, but he is pushing this side here with 2 additional grunts. which again, unfortunately, won't probably be able to do anything because of the laser tower. Did Taku see these forces in this bottom corner? Does look like he did. And he is reacting now. We're probably going to lose a metal extractor for that at least. But it does give Taku the reclaim. Or he might choose to resurrect the units there instead. Now, interestingly, as opposed to what we've seen before, just quickly, we see Taku get a engineer in this right-hand corner, denying the expansion, which is good. We see Taku's commander going to the right here, away from the middle. Both players leaving this middle section alone and not really expanding into it, which is interesting to see, as opposed to the last time we've seen this map. Taku doing a good job at holding his lines. However, when we look at the metal differences right now, it's probably due to some reclaim somewhere, but yeah, there we go. We see Mightysheep with a metal income of 23 and 23 also for Taku. It moves around a bit because he's obviously getting reclaiming from all this stuff, so it's going to show a slightly false number there. But see yet another push here from Mightysheep on the right hand side. Taku with no radar on the right hand side to see that yet. Taku doing very well here and killing another 2 res bots on that right hand side. Interestingly enough to see here, we see Taku transition into vehicles. Now, vehicles isn't a bad shout on this map, as it's, you know, substantially flat. Taku grouping up his units mostly over here. LLT should be able to hold off. That one grunt will get through, but it's not going to be able to do much. Taku clearing up the middle, but maybe about to get some damage to his base at the bottom side. Taku gonna lose a res bot here. Or not. They're not going for the res bot, they're going for the solar instead, which is fair enough. And they get the res bot and the metal extractor as well, as Taku decides to build a radar instead. And we see these grunts at the bottom flanking round. Now, Mightysheep is definitely being the most aggressive here. He is doing a lot more raids onto Taku's economy. Taku not really able to do much to Mightysheep at the moment. When Taku does go in for a push, like now, he's not really able to make anything from it. Just losing units and not able to get anything for his losses. Seeing some res bots here in the middle, getting the metal reclaim from those other things that was dead already. Taku cancelled out the vehicle factory that he was building, it seems. Using maybe instead to build a forward bot factory, it looks like. Whereas Mightysheep over here has indeed transitioned to vehicles. So we're going to see a difference in schema here as both players go for different methods. As we see Taku going for planes. Now, this will be interesting to see. The use of the shurikens, the paralyzing drones, can be very effective. We'll see if he can make use of them. This grunt isn't actually able to see the aircraft factory. It'll be interesting to see whether he gets vision of it at all, because that will kind of put a hole in Taku's plan here. If Mightysheep is able to see the aircraft factory beforehand, then he can build the fences. No, he wasn't. Okay. But we are seeing Pounders come out. They're perfect things to counter the grunts. They are very slow though. So we see the first bomber going up here. Mightysheep has nothing to stop this bomber. As I say that, actually, he's got some. So these grunts at the bottom must have seen the bomber. Bomber does get the load off and kills a lot of his eco there and the +5 metal extractor. See if that makes any difference. The zap drones here doing a good job at paralyzing things. Unfortunately, it may be paralyzing the wrong things. Now that that AA is up, I'm unsure as to how useful the shurikens are going to be. It's interesting to see that Mightysheep is like behind Taku's front lines here with these grunts. And Taku's fight going on here, he is about to lose his entire army. That is not good. As Mightysheep is in Taku's base as well. The shurikens helping to limit the damage, but he does still lose a construction turret, 2 construction turrets, and a radar. And the air factory has been reclaimed to get another bot factory. I hate to say it though, it may be too late for Taku, because he's trying to get these thugs out, and he's rebuilt the factory to get more units out, but I'm afraid it might be too late. Mightysheep has control of the map substantially. And these vehicles are just going to push through these laser towers. Nothing to worry about. Taku's engine, other factory here is massively exposed from his main base. And as soon as he loses all of his eco, it's pretty much going to be game over for Taku. Substantial loss there of economy. And he's probably going to go for the factory as a drive-by. Yep. And then we'll get the rest of this energy, which is the majority of Taku's energy. So you see the difference in energy right now. Mightysheep at 800, Taku at 300. I don't know if Taku has much of a comeback from this. And also we see Mightysheep here with the same player as Taku, bringing out the paralyzing drones. Taku has no air defense left to stop this. Also, with the substantial resbots here, it's just going to reclaim everything and cause Taku as much problems as he can. Taku never got control of these mexes in this bottom right-hand corner. And yeah, Taku just having his own base reclaimed by Mightysheep here, unable to stop this aerial attack. And I do hate to say it, but I think this is the end for Taku. It's going to be very difficult for him to come back from this. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just very, very, very difficult. As we see his base where his commander is getting pushed in here. Taku should be able to deal with that with his comm. Doesn't have the energy to degun though at the moment. All of Taku's expansion is being wiped out. Mightysheep being very ballsy with his reclaim there, just pushing his resbots right into the commander to get as much reclaim as possible. And unfortunately, Taku lost all of his expansion to the left as well. His engineer is still alive, so he could get that back, but not at the moment. Meanwhile, in the middle, these tanks taking some flanking damage here from the grunts that are surrounding them. Grunts are quick enough to keep up with these tanks. Now, Mightysheep did push in a lot of economy into that base of Taku's. If he can get the reclaim, which unfortunately Mightysheep did manage to get a substantial amount of it, he may be able to pull this back. But it's looking very, very, very difficult. As we still see air coming out from Mightysheep. Some bombers going for the last of Taku's energy. And that successfully hits. Taking out all 4 of that. Taku really short on energy right now. As we see, he's only at 300 energy. As opposed to Mightysheep's 1,000. Losing the metal extractor, but keeping the solar for now. Although the bomber is able to come back round. Second bomber up. It's going to cause his forces some problems, meaning that he's also having to invest in air defenses units as well. Now, could this have played out differently if Taku would have kept with the vehicle factory on the right-hand side? Hard to say. He was constantly losing his expansion, so the metal cost into it might not have been a good idea. Mightysheep is able to control most of the map at this point. As we zoom out, we can see that Mightysheep owns well over half the map, with the bottom left-hand side of Taku's side of the map being under Mightysheep's control. Even with an engineer over there building metal extractors in Taku's expansion area on the left-hand side. Yeah, without some form of substantial attack from Taku that makes a big dent, I don't see this going in Taku's favor. Taku trying to get air up again for the paralyzing drones. But I don't think it's going to be able to do anything. Taku having to throw his grunts at these tanks here to try and stop him just walking into the base again. Buy him some time for those drones to come up. And spy planes and bombers coming out now as well from Mightysheep. And yeah, this is not looking good. I'm kind of surprised Taku hasn't surrendered. So we see a nice push and bombs here from Mightysheep as all of the winds go up in smoke again. Taku's commander has lost both of his mech points right next to him. He's not even paying attention to that at all. Focusing on trying to keep his units alive and microing all of his units as his base is going up in smoke from bombs. He's trying to rebuild them, but it's not gonna happen quick enough. Taku now rebuilding those metal points next to his base. Taku with some fighters up now, which we're also seeing Mightysheep. I'm surprised we're seeing such a variety of units in this 1v1. All the winds gone again there, and Taku calls the GG. Well played to both players. Mightysheep was just able to control so much of the map, and he basically didn't lose any of his expansion at all. Taku struggled to get that bottom right-hand corner, which I seem to see happen on a regular basis when it comes to this map. So it's interesting that Taku also has the same issue. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.